The courtroom went quiet as Judge Madison leaned across as the bailiff pushed open the side door. A woman walked in, her face partially concealed under a wide-brimmed hat. Her footsteps sounded firmly across the floor. Whispers circulated around the room. Robyn Brown's face went white. She clenched the armrest, her lips shaking. Christina's attorney rose and spoke to the judge in a firm tone. "Your Honor, this is our surprise witness." A collective gasp ran through the courtroom as the woman gradually doffed her hat. It was Gwen Brown, daughter of Christine and Cody. Alienated from her father and estranged from Robyn, she had been silent up until now about the chaos in the Brown family. Cody blinked in astonishment. He had not heard from Gwen for months. She had last spoken to him telling him she no longer trusted him. He believed she was bluffing, yet here she was testifying against him. What had started as a custody and estate battle was turning into a tale of deception, hidden cash, and concealed family secrets. Gwen was about to expose them all. The room was utterly silent, not even a cough that broke the quiet. The air had seemed to disappear when Gwen mounted the stand. She fiddled with the microphone carefully, her hands shaking a little, not out of fear, but from the burden of her choice. Her eyes, which were once warm and smiling, were now hard and determined. Judge Madison leaned forward with pen in hand. "Miss Brown, please tell me your relationship to the parties." Gwen nodded. "I am Gwen Brown, Christine and Cody Brown's daughter. I've known Robyn since I was a child. She has been my stepmother for more than 10 years. Her voice was firm, but had a trace of sadness. Christine, who was sitting beside her lawyer, nibbled the inside of her cheek. She had learned Gwen was going to testify only that morning. Gwen stood on her doorstep with a small folder in hand and tears in her eyes. Christine instructed her she didn't have to do it, but Gwen was adamant. "I have to, Mom." The truth must be known. On the stand, Gwen held up the folder, her hands steady now. "I have presented all the documents to the court, but I wanted to tell you how I came across them." The judge nodded. 2 years ago, I began working part-time for my father as his assistant. I assisted in sorting bills and legal documents. Dad did not have faith in online records, so he stored many boxes of financial documents and handwritten notes years old. She took out a paper. "This is a signed withdrawal authorization from the Brown Family Trust 1 week prior to when my mother departed Dad. The amount withdrawn was $120,000. She addressed the courtroom. The funds were sent to a private LLC registered in the name of Robyn. Gasps filled the air. Cody shifted uncomfortably, his face turning red. Robyn held onto his arm firmly. Christine blinked in surprise. She had suspected financial impropriety, but this was evidence. Gwen went on, her voice firm but loaded with emotion. "Now moving to the second page," she said. "This is a transfer 5 days later, another $65,000 transferred from the equity of the jointly owned Flagstaff property to the same LLC. She looked directly at the judge. Mom was unaware of these transactions. The other wives were not aware. I questioned Dad about it, and he said to me, quote, "It's for Robyn's children. You don't need to worry about it." Her voice cracked on the word kids, but she pressed on. Reaching back into the folder, Gwen pulled out a USB drive. "This is an audio recording I recorded by accident. My phone was recording a call between Dad and Robyn when they thought I was out of the room." The judge nodded to the court clerk, who accepted the drive and labeled it as evidence. In the recording, Gwen whispered, "You can hear them discussing how to shut Christine out of any future profits from Coyote Pass and how to divert more money before the other wives start asking questions." "Those are Robyn's exact words," Gwen said. Robyn's jaw fell in surprise. "That's a lie," she blurted, but the judge rapped sharply with the gavel. "Mrs. Brown, be quiet until you are spoken to." Robyn's eyes filled with tears, but she remained silent. Cody sat rigidly, staring at the desk in front of him, his jaw clamped so hard it appeared that it would break. Gwen turned towards him fully for the first time since sitting down in the courtroom. "I loved you," she whispered. "I believed you were fair, perhaps overwrought, perhaps lost, but not evil. But when I discovered those papers and listened to your hidden meetings, I discovered something else. She stopped, the courtroom waiting for her next sentence. You didn't just betray my mother. You betrayed all of us. All the children who believed in family. All the wives who bought into a shared dream. You made loyalty a weapon. Christine wept silently in her seat. Janelle hid her face in her hands across the room. The judge coughed. Miss Brown, your testimony has raised some serious financial issues. This court will direct a formal forensic audit based on the testimony you have brought before it. But before I permit cross-examination, is there something else you want to say? Gwen drew a deep breath and pulled out a final sheet of paper from the folder. This is a check written to Robyn Brown for $40,000. The memo line is consulting fee. It was drawn from a joint family building account, the same account that my mother and the other wives contributed to thinking they were helping build houses on Coyote Pass. She presented the judge with the check, who read it slowly, raising an eyebrow. And this consulting fee, he questioned, was for what purpose? Gwen nodded her head. No consulting. No constructing either. The property sits empty. That money vanished, just like the rest. The judge slowly turned to Robyn and Cody. You both will have to testify under oath regarding these expenses. This court takes misappropriation of joint marital assets very seriously. Christina's attorney stood up. Your Honor, this behavior is typical of financial manipulation, fraud, and long-term asset concealment. We respectfully petition for an immediate freeze on all LLC accounts in the names of Robyn and Cody Brown pending further investigation. The judge nodded sharply. So ordered. The bailiff moved forward as murmurs spread through the courtroom gallery. Robyn's face crumpled. She stretched out to catch Cody's hand, but he moved away from her, his features impassive and distant. Gwen slumped back in the witness chair, spent but relieved. For the first time ever, she had spoken her truth, and the courtroom had listened. Christine got up and moved over to the stand quietly. The two women hugged in silence, no words, no announcements, only a stark, powerful hug between a mother and daughter who'd seen more hurting than most could ever dream of. Across the room, Robyn watched silently. She was no longer crying, rather, her brain whirled. A single thought reverberated loudly in her chest. If Gwen could reveal so much, what else did she know? The courtroom air remained thick with tension. Gwen's testimony still hung heavily, like a storm that refused to break, the documents, the recording, the check, all damning. But the battle was far from over. Now it was Robyn Brown's turn to testify. She seemed shaken but in control. Her designer coat was perfect, her earrings tiny and tasteful, but on her face, her nervousness showed. She looked at Cody, hoping for reassurance, but he did not even glance in her direction since the judge imposed the emergency freeze of their assets. Putting her hand on the Bible, the clerk inquired, "Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" Robyn's mouth opened. "I do." And then, within her, the storm began to churn. Christina's attorney appeared, even-tempered and courteous, but rife with razor-sharp tautness beneath the surface. The kind of lawyer who never lost his voice, but could shatter fabrications with a snap of his fingers like the shattering of glass. "Mrs. Brown, you know something about the joint family trust created in 2013, right?" "Yes," Robyn answered hesitantly. "And wasn't it intended to grant equal access to funds and security for all four wives then?" "Yes, that was what we planned," she answered slowly. "However, over the course of the preceding months before Christina's exit, you and Mr. Cody Brown formed an independent LLC and started moving funds in there without letting the other wives know." Robyn blinked, paused, and then replied it was for safety reasons. The family was disintegrating. We didn't know what Christine was going to do. So you took out $185,000 and deposited it into a personal account in your name? Robyn stumbled. "It wasn't all mine. Cody could use it, but the other wives couldn't." "Mrs. Brown, yes or no?" Whispers filled the courtroom. The attorney stepped over to the evidence table and held up the printed check that Gwen had given. "Do you see this $40,000 check marked as a consulting fee?" "Yes, that was for legal strategy." We were working out how to keep finances separate in case Christine left. So, you gave yourself $40,000 of family funds for advice to your husband? Robyn's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Yes or no? Whispering yes. The deception started to crack. Christine sat rigid, hands tightly folded in her lap. Janelle stood over her, lips compressed, eyes blazing with fury. Robyn's voice shook as she attempted to defend herself. It wasn't stealing. Robyn defended herself, claiming it was all damage control. She said that Cody had warned them that if they didn't move fast, they would lose everything, that he needed protection from the women who had dumped him. The lawyer raised an eyebrow. So, Mr. Brown suggested you keep money from his family, from his own children? Robyn corrected her. He didn't say keep, he said reposition. The attorney pushed again. Did you or did you not prepare a falsified income statement to secure a loan on family property as collateral? Robyn's eyes widened in surprise. She looked at Cody, who was silent and icy. I didn't do the paperwork. Cody did. The attorney prodded again. So now you claim Cody committed the fraud? No, I never said that. Mrs. Brown, under oath, did you profit from this loan? Yes. Was Christine told about this loan? No. Did you inform her when she left home? No. Did you ever intend to? Silence in the courtroom. The tension deepened as Christine's lawyer took a breath and presented a new exhibit, a transcript Gwen had submitted the night before. Your Honor, we'd like to introduce a recorded telephone conversation between Robyn Brown and Mary Brown, made 3 months after Christine left Flagstaff. The call took place at 9:43 p.m. and was recorded with Mary's consent. Robyn's head snapped toward the lawyer. That call was private. The judge's eyebrow went up. Mrs. Brown, you are cautioned there is no reasonable expectation of privacy in a taped call when one party agrees. The recording was played aloud. Robyn, I know Christine is angry, but she doesn't deserve the property. She quit. She gave up. I instructed Cody to relocate everything we could before she gets smart. Mary replied, that's not right. You're shutting her out. Robyn replied coldly, it's not about fairness anymore. It's about survival. She made her bet. Let her lie in it. The final line struck the room with the force of a sledgehammer. Christina's face was still unreadable. Cody still would not meet anyone's eye. The judge cleared his throat again and addressed Robyn. Is that your voice on the call, Mrs. Brown? Yes, she answered softly. Do you stand by those words today? No. I was mad, afraid. I didn't mean for it to come this far. But you did want Christine to have nothing. I didn't know how to make it stop. The lawyer approached the judge, voice steady. Your Honor, what we've witnessed today is not merely poor judgment. It is a deliberate pattern of manipulation, financial control, and deception. Robyn Brown has admitted under oath to misusing family funds, excluding the other wives, and conspiring to hide money from Christine. She hesitated for a moment, allowing the words to settle. We ask the court not only grant the forensic audit, but initiate proceedings for full restitution and inquire into Robyn Brown for civil fraud. Whispers swept through the courtroom as the gravity of the word fraud filtered through. Robyn dropped her face into her hands, silent tears streaming down her face. Judge Madison scribbled in silence, then glanced at Robyn. You may be seated. Robyn stood up slowly, her tears flowing freely. She walked past Cody, but he did not extend his hand nor turn to look at her. The power balance had changed. Christine looked at her attorney. She just confessed to all of it. Isn't that sufficient? The lawyer nodded slowly. It's not just enough. This is a turning point. In the rear of the courtroom, a figure stood. It was Leon, Mary, and Cody's youngest son, quiet, reserved, and unseen until today. He moved into the doorway, holding a folder. Your Honor, I'd like to be heard. Judge Madison raised an eyebrow. And you are Leon Brown? Yes, Leon answered. I have bank records that support Gwen's testimony and go a bit further. Cody didn't simply raid accounts. He used my mother's name to get a credit line without her permission. The judge glared quickly at Cody. Is this true? For the first time that day, Cody looked up. His eyes were bloodshot and angry. You people turned on me. You think I'm the bad guy? I kept this family alive. This circus is betrayal, not justice. The judge rapped the gavel. Enough. This courtroom will come to order. But the decorum had been breached. Everyone had turned against him. The room hummed with charged tension, as if a storm churned outside the walls. Cody sat isolated now, his wives at arm's length, his children split, and the court watching as he disintegrated before their very eyes. Judge Madison took off his glasses and folded his hands. Brown, you've been mentioned in numerous testimonies and exhibits. Do you want to make a statement or testify? This is your opportunity. Cody didn't answer right away. His typically fidgety hands lay motionless, fists curled tightly on the table. His jaw clenched, his face red. He slowly got up. Yeah, he grunted, I've got something to say. Christine glanced up. Gwen strained forward, attentive. Robyn silently cried a couple of rows in the back. Mary and Leon stood off to the side, their eyes sharp, observing each move. This was Cody's time. His act was going to start. He strode to the front of the courtroom, moving like a man taking the boards. Without hesitation, he started, voice low but hot. Let me make one thing clear. Everything I did was to keep my family safe. Christina's lawyer stood. Your Honor, if Mr. Brown is going to be a witness, he needs to be sworn in. I don't have to swear to tell the truth, Cody snarled. The judge held up a hand. You do, Mr. Brown. That's the law. Cody gritted his teeth, stepped back, then finally raised his hand to have the oath taken by the clerk. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do, he growled. Spinning around to confront the courtroom, his eyes settled on Gwen. Cody asserted, I didn't steal. I didn't lie. I didn't manipulate. I made hard choices. And if that painted me as the villain to my kids, my wives, or the whole internet, so be it. Someone had to make those decisions. The calm before the storm, cross-examination started. Christina's attorney stood up, unruffled and ready. Brown, were you the exclusive managing member of the Coyote Pass Trust? Yes. Did you inform Christine, Mary, or Janelle when you moved funds into an account in Robyn's name? No. They were not entitled by law to that account. It wasn't. Contrary to their worries, the source of the money was a pooled asset. Cody conceded, technically, yes. But Robyn and I were the only ones who still believed in the future. The lawyer's tone grew acidic. Brown, did you take out a $50,000 line of credit in the name of Mary Brown without asking her? Cody's face contorted. I filled out the papers. The bank authorized it. Not mine. Did you have her permission? We were wed spiritually, not officially. And you were aware of it. Again, yes or no? Cody's face darkened. A shock of response ran through the courtroom. Mary gripped her jaw tightly, eyes shut. Leon's fists clenched in his lap. Then Cody blew. Striding toward the jury box, though there wasn't even a jury, he yelled, none of you have any idea what it takes to hold together 4 wives. To bring up 18 children under the microscope, day after day. I gave my all, and what did I receive? Judgment, rejection, silence. He turned to Gwen, jabbing his finger at her. You betrayed your father. Broke our confidences. You think you're a hero? You don't know the entire story. Judge Madison banged the gavel. Brown, stand back. This is not a public forum. But Cody disregarded the warning. And Christine, don't play the innocent one. You undermined me for years. Taught the children to despise you. Then left and made yourself the victim. Christine stood, unable to remain silent. You lost them, Cody. I didn't take them. You pushed them away. Cody gestured toward her once more. You call this justice? You want the world to know you as the saint and me as the bad guy? Don't forget, you deserted me. The courtroom was mobbed into pandemonium. Gwen's face streamed with tears. Robyn looked away in shame. Even Janelle, who had been silent all morning, mouthed to Christine, this isn't a man defending anybody. He's attempting to burn the house down. Judge Madison slammed the gavel harder. Brown, either you sit down immediately or you'll be in contempt of court. Cody's chest rose and fell. For an instant, he appeared as if he'd object again. Then he spotted them, his children, Leon, Gwen, Logan, standing in the gallery. And Kelty in the rear, holding her own daughter, his grandchild, eyes wide with questions. He settled into the chair heavily. The courtroom let go of its tension. Robyn's calm finally cracked during a short recess. She collapsed onto a bench in the hallway, her eyeliner smudged by tears. He wasn't supposed to shatter like that, she breathed. Mary glided by without glancing at her. Christine stood just down the way, silently conversing with Gwen. Do you regret this? Christine asked. Gwen shook her head. I regret not saying something earlier. One of the courthouse TV producers grumbled as she passed by, this is going to spoil the entire season. But television had moved on. This was life. When court came back into session, Judge Madison had a pile of papers behind her. Let me say something first. This is not a custody dispute. This is not a reality show reunion. This is a court of law. He pinned a stern look on Cody and Robyn. The financial inconsistencies. The judge spoke. The financial improprieties reported by the witnesses are serious. If found to be true, they would amount to civil fraud. And if there is evidence of intent, criminal prosecution could result. The courtroom was completely silent. Brown, Mrs. Brown, both of you are instructed to retain independent counsel. We will go ahead with a complete forensic audit and hear back in 30 days to look at the results. Christine covered her heart with her hand. For the first time in years, she had a delicate feeling of peace, driven by hope, rather than revenge, that the truth was at last being revealed. 30 days after, the courthouse was roped off with hordes of fans, cameras, and reporters, cordoned off with metal barricades. It had escalated way past a family fight. It had turned into a media event. Everyone waited with bated breath for the verdict, waiting to see the possible fall of Cody and Robyn Brown. Within the crowded courtroom, Christine sat next to her lawyer, tense but serene. Gwen and Kelty followed right behind, shoulder to shoulder. Mary was uncharacteristically silent, holding a yellow legal pad. Janelle sat forward, eyes bright and intent. Robyn looked pale, obviously thinner and shaking. Cody came in last. He seemed smaller in some way, the flame of his eyes extinguished by fear. Judge Madison came in, and the whole courtroom stood up, aware that this was the moment of truth. He looked down at the folder in front of him. During the hearing, evidence has been submitted, tested, and verified by an independent audit. He flipped a page and directly addressed Cody and Robyn. This court finds conclusive evidence of financial mismanagement, coercion, and willful hiding of assets of the joint family, mainly by Mr. Cody Brown and to a certain extent by Mrs. Robyn Brown. There was a collective gasp in the room. The Coyote Pass Trust will be terminated. A trustee and bankruptcy procedure will manage the sale of property and distribute proceeds equitably among the wives, Christine, Janelle, and Mary. Robyn Brown is directed to refund $47,000 to the Mutual Trust for improper withdrawals. Cody Brown is prohibited from any financial management positions involving the wives, such as joint trusts, business accounts, or common assets. Christine blinked slowly, absorbing the news. The judge continued, if there are any criminal charges, they are beyond the province of this civil court. But our recommendations will be sent to the local district attorney. Cody went pale as murmurs swept through the courtroom. Outside the courthouse, Christine stepped out with Gwen and Janelle walking alongside. A sea of reporters surrounded her. Christine, are you vindicated now? What is the future for your family? A reporter asked. She held up her hand for quiet before speaking in a loud voice into the microphone. I did not come here to harm anyone. I came for truth, accountability, and for the women and children who lived in control and silence. She paused, gulping hard. I am not the bitter ex-wife. I am the liberated one. Behind her, Mary placed a hand on Christine's shoulder, a gesture she hadn't made in years. I was silent for too long, but I'm speaking now, Mary added into the mic. It was not a reunion, but a reclamation. The once divided sister wives were finally standing together. Back inside the courthouse, Robyn collapsed onto a bench, overwhelmed. Robyn sat on a bench inside the hallway, crying uncontrollably as she held a folder of papers hard against her body. Cody attempted to talk to her, but she shooed him away. "You told me it wouldn't reach this point," she cried. "They made everyone turn against us," he grumbled. "No," she sobbed through tears. "You did." Then, unexpectedly, something happened. Leon came forward quietly, out of the limelight and crowds, with only raw emotion in his voice. "Dad," he whispered softly, "you used to say family was everything. But when we needed you to be a father, you were too busy playing God." Cody was silent. "Perhaps someday you'll realize what you've lost," Leon said, "but that day is not today." With that, they departed. Just as everyone was getting ready to think that the trial was finally done, Judge Madison signaled that everyone come back in. "Before we recess this case indefinitely," he declared, "I have a final motion by Christina's lawyers to add some new evidence." Cody's eyes widened. Christina's attorney approached. "Your Honor, we offer a notarized affidavit and audio recording from Aurora Brown." The courtroom erupted in gasps. Robyn put her hand over her mouth in shock. Aurora voluntarily appeared after the hearing had started, claiming she overheard discussions of money between her mother and Cody regarding taking funds. "We ask that this be placed into the record." The judge read the document and then nodded. "It is accepted. The record will stay open for 48 hours. In case a criminal investigation is opened, this affidavit will be completely filed." Robyn sat petrified, unable to stir. Her own daughter had testified against her and Cody. The ground beneath her fell away. Outside, Christine spoke to the media with no tears or smiles. "This was never about money," she said softly. "It was about respect, and we finally have it." Mary and Janelle hovered nearby, silently observing. Christine hugged Gwen's shoulders and whispered, "You were so brave." Gwen nodded. "So were you, Mom." Then, one by one, the ex-sister wives left the courthouse. Not perfect, not reconciled, but no longer ruled by Cody. At the same time, Cody stood on courthouse steps hours after the crowd had dissipated. By himself, he slapped his phone, no calls, no messages, only silence. For the first time in decades, there was no one left to embellish the narrative, no wives to fault, no cameras to distort the account. Only him and the truth he never wanted to confront. He gazed at the vacant courthouse and whispered, "I was the head of